is going on, everybody? Hopefully you can hear me okay. We got some fast cars idling. We are coming out to do some test and tune right now. Kelly and I, she's in her Camaro, obviously I'm in the Mach 1. And we're gonna do a couple rounds of test and tune, and then we are gonna try out bracket racing for the first time. So we've never bracket raced before. This is 8th mile. It is an unprepped surface, and we'll see what happens. So I think this car's stock in the quarter is about a 12.6 with the manual. Hers is a 12.0. That equates to roughly in the 8th with a fantastic driver and a good surface, like an 8.1 for the Mach 1 and a 7.7. So I don't think we're gonna get anywhere close to that. But really the goal is just gonna be to go out, do our runs. It's a very grassroots kind of thing in Junction, Utah. Do a couple runs and just see what it runs, and then dial in our time and go. Like I said, we've never done bracket racing before. So I'm not gonna do too much talk in this video. We are just gonna do some racing. So I don't know if I'll get to race Kelly or not. And I'll maybe try and talk a little bit more as I line up to some other cars. But cool, stay tuned. Hope you like the video, and we'll see how we do.
So I was almost totally embarrassed to show this time slip, but you got to start somewhere. Definitely not my best run, but I do get better throughout the day, and I'll continue to show you the time slips as we move forward. Okay, so I picked up a little bit of time on that one. I think my 60-foot dropped drastically, and you'll see that throughout the day that it gets better each run. Remember, this is at 6,000 feet of elevation, so these times are going to be slower.
Gonna give it a little bit more RPM this time and see if that improves the launch. I'm really having a hard time figuring out this launch here. So if I can undrop my stuff from between the seats, we'll try this. Yeah, so basically this is going to be my last run, and then I got to pick a time because this is going to be bracket racing here pretty soon. So we'll give it my best shot. I don't know what I'm going to quite pick yet. We'll just have to see how this goes. Hopefully I improve, but I don't improve so much that like my 3 times are so drastically different. We'll just have to see. We're going to launch it in drag mode again. Traction control off.
This was my best run by far. If I had more times to practice, I probably would have kept increasing the RPM until I started to spin and then try to slip the clutch. I think I could have got the 60-foot even lower. Okay, so the time for practice is over. Now we have to pick our dial-in. This is the first time that Kelly and I have ever done bracket racing, so we needed to learn the rules. Kelly picked a 9.2. I went with a 9.1 because I had been improving throughout the day. I don't know whether this was the best or worst choice I made all day. But basically the reaction time here is really, really key, as you will see here in a second. So we're going to get into the actual racing, and it is single elimination. So if you lose one or you break out, you are done.
Man, I think I'm racing a Camaro, another white Camaro.
Well, as you can see, I lost. Or did I? You don't really know because he could have broken out. But in fact, I did lose, and it really was a close race. It totally came down to the reaction time.
We're in round 3. Well, I'm not in round 3. She's in round 3. She's doing great. She's absolutely killing it. The reaction time thing is quite difficult. So I got out the first round.
Not my forte.
Yeah, so not my best work. It is super windy here, which is making the lights do some weird things. You kind of have to pay attention, but we've been here for a while. We got a long drive ahead of us, but if Kelly keeps winning, we can't leave. We've got to stay. Don't sabotage yourself, Kelly. I know you want to go home in your sunburn, but come on, hang out. Let's get to the finals here.
Yeah.
So this was my first pass that we did at the track, and it definitely took some getting used to. I haven't been drag racing since I had my Speed 3 like 7 years ago, so this was the first time in this car. As you can see, my reaction time was pretty poor, but we ended up getting him in the end. In addition to having a pretty poor reaction time, I rolled into first gear really slowly, so that was something I wanted to work on in the second run that we did. I hit first gear pretty hard, and as you can see, I spun quite a bit on that run, so on the third run I tried to put everything together and hit that sweet spot. That was definitely my best round. As you can see, I didn't really spin. I was able to get out pretty quickly. So I was able to choose my time based off of the first and third run, and then we went into eliminations. As you can see, he gets out in front because his car was slower, so he got to start first. But my reaction time was the best one yet in this race, and I was able to catch him and finish first.
Well, before we wrap up the video and go into kind of what's next, I just want to let you know what happened with the racing. For whatever reason, Kelly's camera had some issues. We didn't catch the last race there. She went 3 rounds into the eliminations. She did really well. She was supposed to line up next to a Nova. I think it would have been a good race, but they swapped her over for this guy who had basically a bone stock Cherokee, who knew his dial in perfectly, was super consistent. And Kelly did great. I think she beat him to the line, but she broke out of her class. So, hey, there's always next time, but she did run the fastest time. She ran a 9.0, which was the best of both of us for the day. Again, we're at 6,000 feet, so I need to step my game up because she did great. And we'll talk about that here in a second. All right, it's a day later. Pardon all the background noise. Just to wrap up this video real quick. If you're still watching now, I really thank you because I do have some interesting information. So I'm not gonna say what, but I am going to say that I did pull the trigger on something pretty major for the Mach 1. So, like I said, if you've made it this far in the video, then you kind of have a heads up on sort of what's coming. All I'm gonna say at this point is that the Mach 1 is not gonna be slower than the Camaro for long. I'll leave it at that. We'll do a whole nother video in the future to cover all of that. So what is coming up next for the channel? So I'm gonna put together another video for the truck, and what we are gonna be installing is a set of super cheap, if you can believe it, these mid-length headers were $180. So I picked up a set of $180 headers. These are actually stainless, I believe, which is, or so they say, is crazy to me, right? Super inexpensive. Got ourselves a catalytic converter so it doesn't smell and is 100% legal. And what we are gonna try and do is see in that video if you can go and take an old truck like this and get a little bit more performance, maybe a little bit more miles per gallon,
but not be loud. So check out that video. I'm gonna have a sound decibel meter hooked up to the truck, and you'll get to hear all that stuff. And really the goal is, this is just kind of like a daily driver. We just want it to be a little bit, sound a little meaner without being crazy. Okay, so 305, it is not the Mach 1, it's not the ZL1, it's not meant to be loud. But if we can just eke out a little bit more performance, that would be fantastic. So that is gonna be the next video. And like I said, there will be a huge video dropping on this car, multi-part, to cover what is in store for it next. But I hope you guys like the racing. We certainly had a ton of fun. Kelly did great. As you can see, reaction time is really what it comes down to for bracket racing, and also knowing your dial in. So there was no separation between the automatic and stick cars. In the test and tune portion, they split up the slicks and the street tires. But then at the end, you were all racing together. So in my opinion, it would have been cool if they would have had sticks and automatics, because with the stick shift car, there's just so much more at play when you leave the line. But anyways, it's neither here nor there. I'm not gonna make excuses. We were just kind of getting started and trying out. So we certainly need to practice. And hopefully with some more practice, we can play with the launch control features of the Mach 1 and try and dial in that launch. So I'd love to get back and do that. But trust me, you will be seeing more racing, more wrenching, and a little bit of science here for Lloyd, or 95 GMC, on the next video. So thank you guys for watching. Tune in next time, and please, please do not forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I know it sounds silly, you hear it all the time, but it does make a difference. So I really appreciate you guys watching. Enjoy your Mother's Day. Talk to you later.